All good. Obviously, really good win this past week. I wait on the latecomers. No excuses. But really good win this past week. Really good overall team performance. Defensively speaking, to go out there and hold a team to 6 points is not easy. But to be able to do that with a team with the weapons that this team had, I was very proud of the way that the men started the game, and very proud of the way the men ended the game. And we're going to continue to look at certain things on our defense and try to improve each week. Here's what I would say. I know each week, and sometimes this is a negative connotation. It has nothing to do with the team. That each week, man, a lot of these teams are nameless, faceless to us. And it has nothing to do with the team again. This has everything to do with us because we know right now we're in the middle of November, and we know what that means. And the one thing I told you, men and women, that we want to do is, man, really improve on how we do in run defense. Compare that with the pass defense. And for the past 2 weeks, we've done really well in that aspect, and we want to continue to do that. And going into the end of November, going to December, man, we want to be at peak performance when it comes to how we play. So we're trying to pair our run defense and our pass defense together, and make sure we're doing a good job of that. Last, I know the elephant's in the room about Anzalone. And listen, we're going to miss that player, right? But just like Hutch, listen, our guys are going to step up and they're going to do a good job. The one thing that we pride ourselves on this team is development as far as players. So there's not one linebacker in that room that hasn't played, and that's going to do a good job for us. So when Anzalone actually went out, man, there was no step back on how we operate. And Jack Campbell, Rodrigo, Ben Neiman, Zeke, all those guys did a really good job, and I expect them to move in that way going forward. So open up for questions.
Excuse me, Zeke, you kind of came out of nowhere for us. You know, playing a little bit on defense, obviously, on special teams. So what do you really have?
Listen, the one thing that he does a really good job of, what he was known for, is his special teams performance. And then you look at the skill set and his ability to go out there and cover tight ends and cover backs, which we saw in practice what he did. And the good thing that we do is we have one-on-one situations. We have competitive periods, and that's when we actually saw that. And when you see that, man, you can see you could utilize that player in certain situations. So that's what we try to do with him.
It's even bigger, but Justin Fields, you've seen that type of quarterback, that big body, strong, really fast QB. What can your experiences, coaching against Justin Fields, how can that help prepare for this player?
Well, the number one thing that we talked about as a defensive staff and with the players is discipline has to be on high alert this week because of the nature of the offense. Every play has a run-pass option in it. So our eyes have to be in the right place on every snap. And then our ability to get the ball down has to be important. One thing they do a good job, they get a hat for the most part. So we have to do the little things better than they do. When I say that, it means once they get a hat for a hat, we got to get off blocks and we got to finish on the ball. And they do a good job of getting a hat for a hat. So again, that comes down to how we operate and the way that we play. And you're right, Justin Fields gave us a test on being able to do that. So the thing is, everybody has to be in their right spot, and our guys are ready to take that challenge on.
I'm going to run into a wall here with being too aggressive with schematics on the question, but with a quarterback that's that mobile, you say the run pass option. I'm just wondering from a cornerback perspective, like man versus zone, is it better to have eyes in the backfield for your corners? Do you almost have to play more zone against guys that are a threat to run like that all the time?
Well, I'm not going to sit there and tell you exactly what we're going to do. We're going to play defense, and whatever that is, you'll see it, and we're going to do a really good job at it.
Roderick Martin got activated this week. Just curious what you've seen from his development, his growth, and where he's at right now.
Well, the first thing, he was Scout Team Player of the Week, so that's where it starts. And I say this about every player on our team, is you got to earn your keep here, and he's earning it by getting Scout Team Player of the Week. So as he continues to move forward, listen, we don't want to just throw that player out there. We want to continue to get him to practice, and he's doing a good job of that. And once he gets to the point where we feel like he's ready to go out there and compete on game day, we'll get him up and get him ready.
Stand out to win Scout Team Player of the Week?
When you go against a man like Ragnow and you see it on tape, that's easy to figure out. He did a good job of that.
soul that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, hands open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose smooth on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running and maybe we just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me is never the sway me. Indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity. This your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. Welcome one, welcome all, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Lion Villain Report. I am your host. It's your boy, Russell Wayne, up in the house. And this is a Monday through Saturday experience at 10 a.m. And I'm trying something different a little bit today. What we're going to get to today is I want to go through all these coordinators because this is where I get most of my information. You know, I know there's a bunch of talking heads that are out there that think they know a lot about football. I pretend to know a lot about football, but the coordinators and the people that coach this team know a lot about football. And so we're going to go through all of what the coordinators do. And that was a little bit of Aaron Glenn right there. And I want to react. I want to get your reactions to some of that. But first, we're broadcasting live into the Lions Villain Squad Facebook page. We are approaching 60,000 villains right there. Yeah, why have billions when you can have thousands? Yes. Thank you to everybody that is following, liking, sharing, and commenting on this because we are the UDFA. We're the Tom Kennedy, baby, of sports podcasting. Thank you for that like. Thank you for liking this content. We're also getting some help from my boy, Joe Chapp, with the Detroit Lions News Podcast. And he's also the proud owner of the JC Sports Network. We're going live in his Twitter right now, and welcome to all of those people. We are on YouTube at Lions Villain Squad. Please take the time, if you're not already, over on that YouTube channel, go hit the like button and hit the subscribe button right there. It helps us out. We're approaching 1,000 subscribers, and we want to continue going and doing that thing. We are brought to you by NFL Shop. You can use the link that is in the comments that I am putting in there. And I checked out the link that I threw in there yesterday. It seemed to work just fine. So I'm going to put that into the comments right there. And don't take the gear spot. Yeah, just use the link and you can save yourself up to 30% off of your order. If you want to partner with the Villain Squad, if you own a business and you are in Michigan and you love the Detroit Lions and you want to partner with the Villain Squad and our Lions content, you want to be guilty by association, you can get a hold of Main Event Mike at 810-620-2167 and find out how you can be guilty by association. Pick one of the good weeks that the Lions are playing in here. Yes. And we have a Facebook Star Purpose. The Stars program will go to support Riker Wayne's World, which is my son who has special needs. He has a rare genetic disorder that's being studied by the University of Michigan. And my wife's Facebook is sharing resources for parents who have children with special needs. So if you are commenting using stars, all of that is going to go support her and her website and getting information out there to all my special needs parents that are out there. It's faith, family, and then football. We use football to create memories. We don't let football use us. And most importantly, guys, join the conversation. Here we are. It's Friday, TGI Friday, and I want to welcome everybody that is in the comments and welcome you to the show. Are the coaches behind this? Yes, they are. Charles, welcome to the program. I love it. Central Scrutinizers up in the house. Faith, family, then football. Good morning, Pride. Let's go. I love it. I love it. Good morning, Henry Gray. I love it. I love it. And right there's the YouTube. If you're not doing anything right now, go on over to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to build that one up too. Good morning to you, Dwayne. Yeah. The Central Scrutinizer said that press conference was good stuff. More grit. Yeah, we're going to go through the entire press conference. We got David Phipp. We got Ben Johnson. We'll be on deck after that. So we're going to go through that once I say hello to everybody. And I want to react to the certain parts of it right there. Let's go. Detroit Lions, one pride. Kings of the North Division, champion title. All crit, never back down, 9-1, make it 10-1. I'm going to the game. I'm leaving tomorrow with my fantasy football friends. Shout out to Joel. Shout out to my son, Hunter. And my whole fantasy football team is making the trip to Indianapolis. And we're going to watch the Lions put a beat down on them Indianapolis Colts. What do you think about all the nicknames? Kirby, Sting, Branch Stung. I don't know. We're going to have to see which one sticks. Good morning, Henry Gray. Good morning, Davey. Good morning, Elise. What's up? And right there's the NFL shop gear right there. I don't know why that won't work for you. I put that. You take the. Let me try just giving you the code. Maybe you're putting the other stuff in there. Try this one right here. And I apologize if it won't work for you. I mean, I don't know why that wouldn't work. You might have to copy the code and then post it into your into the browser. Because when I put it into my browser, it seems to work just fine. But I could be wrong. But represent. Have a safe day. Have a safe journey. I will. And actually, I'm going to be going live a lot this weekend because I want to experience the guy with you guys too. One of the things that Aaron Glenn said right off the bat, because we only have an hour and there's a lot of tape we got to get to here today, and I want to get right to it. So, but he was talking about activating Broderick Martin from IR, and that he was the scout team player of the week. Now, I don't know if he's going to be playing in this game because scout team's a little bit different, but he also alluded to the fact that he was going up against Frank Ragnow all week.
We're going to buy the kneecap off.
And that's not a tough task, or that is a very tough task. And if he's playing well against Frank Ragnow, he might be able to offer a lot of value. And I love the way that he was a little bit snippy back at the media guys about like, look, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do on defense. We're going to be out there and it's going to be done. It's going to be done well. We're going to do a good job at it and leave it at that. But let's go on a little bit further into this press conference.
Different faces, systems totally different, asking these guys to do something totally different. But I'll tell you what, just watching these guys now, I think the head coach is doing a really good job, right, offensively of getting those guys in good position. Listen, he has a juggernaut at a quarterback position. And, man, just to see how big he is and the way he challenges people. And when I say challenge people, it's, listen, if you're in his way, he's going to try to run over you. And his arm is lively. And I don't know, you guys might have seen it, but the way he got his -30 and he throws it 70 yards on one foot was really, really impressive. And I think that's one thing that's underrated about this quarterback, his ability to be accurate down the field. So we got to do a really good job of making sure we're on our P's and Q's of breaking on the ball, because if you don't break at the right time, the ball is getting there because there's so much velocity on the ball.
How much
much of a luxury is it to have a guy like Malcolm that can step in whenever you need him?
Well, that's what I've been talking about each week in that linebacker room, and I continue to say that all those guys have played, all those guys deserve to play, and each week we try to put them in packages so they can play. So when one guy goes down in that room, listen, the next guy's going to step up.
You had some impersonators in the crowd last week. Did you catch wind of that? Some fans dressed as you, looking like you?
Listen, guys, this is getting out of hand again.
Man, about the linebackers right there. You know, when Dan Campbell says that like everybody is going to play, I believe that. You know, sometimes that's just a bunch of talking. You know, they just got to do the coach speak stuff. But when they say that, it's like all these guys are going to play. So, you know, you got Barnes goes out, Anzalone goes out. It's like the next men up. These linebackers all play well in those positions, and this is a testament to how well he is, you know, running this defense. Is all of the guys that are going out, and he's just able to, you know, put it all together, and that's pretty impressive to me.
You know, my daughter sent that, and I think it's actually funny to be able to see that. So I got a kick out of that. So it was good. It was good. Actually, pretty good. The one thing I did see that my wife actually mentioned is they have the yellow striping on the glasses, so they were very detailed. So I'm sure they can come and help us how detailed that was.
Pretty dynamic receiving core over there. It's just what do you see? Those three guys mainly.
Say it one more time.
What do you see just mainly from like that top trio, Mitchell?
Listen, they all create something different when you look at those guys. Pierce does a really good job, like his 50-50 ball, him being able to go up and get the ball is pretty incredible. Pittman does a really good job on the underneath routes, and when he gets a chance to go and block, he does a really good job. And they use him quite a bit. And I think that's one of the things that helps them as far as their running game when it comes to this running back is Pittman's ability to block. And Downs is the type of guy that can get in and out of his cuts. He's a chain mover. So all guys know that there's a challenge for them. But I think that we have guys that can match up well with those guys. So they're looking forward to this. And they see the same thing you guys see. I mean, this is a good receiving core where the quarterback can get the ball to them. So we're going to be challenged, but our guys be ready.
So he's alluding right there to Pierce and Pittman and Downs, the wide receiver core. And let's not forget here, like, you know, I'm gonna go over it a lot tomorrow when I'm doing the matchups, but the Anthony Richardson's a beast, dude. I mean, you got a guy that can run a 4.3 40 at 250 pounds, and he's just a man beast, and he just flicks the wrist and can throw the ball 70 yards. So Pierce is a very, very fast wide receiver. So it's like the Lions have their work cut out for them. I think our defense is going to be able to handle them and force them into mistakes. But I mean, I love the pay attention to detail that this coaching staff has.
Personality out of this world, energy out of this world. He really fits who we are when it just comes to us as a team and really us as a defense. He does have violence to him. He does have a physical nature to him. We're excited to get his count up and see what it actually is going to do as far as a true edge defender for us this week.
Big contributor in some of those pass rush games you guys are doing up front. Is that, I don't know, is that a specialty of some guys and of him in particular? Is that
well, that's the one thing that he did a really good job of in Cleveland is his ability to rush from the inside. So we're going to continue to put him there. We're going to put him in some other spots now to see what he can do for us.
You're number one in the NFL on third down defense.
Say it one more time.
You're number one in the NFL on third down defense.
Yeah.
How much of that is set up by what you're talking about, stopping the run, which leaves them in second and long, third and long, theoretically?
That's exactly what we try to do on defense. Anytime we could have first down efficiency, they end up playing a second down to where we're forcing them to do something that we know that they're going to do. I guess you could say second and pass. That puts us in an advantageous situation. So anytime you can get a team in third and long, all right, man, we can pin our heads back and get after the quarterback. And then our guys love to play man coverage. Then we put ourselves in a situation where we can dictate. So that's what we try to do every week. You know, how many times we can get a team in third and longer situation. So now we can rush the passer, we can play man coverage, and we can dictate the situation.
You have a game like that you had this past Sunday where after that first drive, you're getting off the field quick.
Yeah.
And then your offense is scoring. How much does that complementary football just change that game? It's 28-3 when you look up.
Well, that's the nature of the game. And that's something that our head coach talks about all the time. We always want to play complementary football. That involves special teams also, as far as pinning teams back. So our punter does a really good job in that aspect. Jake does a really good job with his kickoff. So if you can do that without your team, man, there's a good chance you're going to have a good outcome of a game.
Zadarius' hands are so good.
I told you that last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It seems like it's tough for offensive linemen to really latch onto him or hold on to him for long. How much of that skill set is he able to, help teach some of your younger guys to, help them grow as well?
Well, that's his superpower. And the one thing I talked about last week, man, how violent his hands are. And you really never get to know that until you get up to a person and really see it. So again, Dan does a really good job of having these one-on-one competitive periods. And we had those, O against D, or O-line against D-line. And when I first saw it, I was like, whoa. I mean, you saw it. And listen, he's going to impart anything that he has that he can help the young guys. I mean, you saw it the week he didn't play with Pascal. He was in there coaching him. And he does that on an everyday basis. So when you have a guy of that magnitude that's willing to take what he has and give it to somebody else, it's always a good thing. And he wants to do that anyway.
Terry on in a minute, just a little over halfway through his rookie season. Yeah, I mean, that's probably why I wanted to see what you thought of how he's grown, I guess, at that position and maybe where he still has room.
Listen, he's improving every week. The one thing that we want to make sure that he continued to improve on in practice was his ability to not grab and hold and things like that. Listen, he's a very aggressive player, and we play aggressively at the corner spot. And we knew some of those things were going to take a while for it to come out, and he's doing a good job. Listen, and it's going to happen again. I know that. He knows that, but he's gotten a lot better with his technique, and it shows up on the field.
How do the relationships in the secondary show up in week-to-week improvements? Just curious. It seems like a tight-knit group. Just curious how they push each other inside the secondary room each week.
Listen, they compete against each other, not just on stats, but who's going to get pointed out each week. These guys expect to get a game ball each week, and that's good to have in that group. Obviously, Kirby and BB does a good job of communicating, and they've improved with their communication. The corners do a really good job of saying, listen, my man is not going to catch the ball, and they keep that stat. Your guy caught 2 balls, my guy caught whatever. And I think that's good. I think it's healthy. And it's going to continue to happen with that group just because of the nature of who they are and how they operate. Those guys do a really good job during the week of talking through different situations and different route concepts and things like that, and how we're going to defend these route concepts. And it's a beautiful thing to see. Like on Thursdays when they're at one person's place and they're watching tape. Man, as a coach, you can't ask for anything more than that. You give them the concept. Here's what we're trying to do. You make sure they understand the vision of where you're trying to go. Then you let those guys run with it. And then they start to ask questions on how we're going to do things. I think it's a beautiful thing.
All right. Great morning.
All right. Yeah, I love, me personally, I love the demeanor of Aaron Glenn. I think he's going to be an awesome head coach. I love the way that he doesn't call the players by name. It's always that player and everything like that. And he alluded to a couple different things right there. He talked a little bit about Zadarius Smith. And, one of the things about the defensive coordinator and the coaches in general is when we get new players, they don't just throw these guys out there and, expect them to take the lion's share. Pun intended, because it's like you bring in Zadarius Smith, they threw him out there, they put packages to where they knew that he could succeed, where he's rushing from the middle, and now they're going to expand his deal. And now he's able to coach up some of the younger players. And then when he's talking about the secondary, Zadarius Smith is going to help the secondary. And when you got a player like Terrion Arnold, who's kind of learning the position a little bit right there, but I mean, he's getting the hands-on training. Carlton Davis has been playing lights out for, he's lived up to the third round trade and being able to be a viable number one corner. I mean, he's locked it down, just like he said. When he got here, he was just like, he said that. He was like, hey, I'm here to lock shit down. I'm here to lock shit down. It's going to be a no-fly zone. I'm going to take half of the field, and I'm going to make it unavailable. Well, they're shutting teams down now. So, what did you think of the Aaron Glenn portion of their trophy? The Central Scrutinizer says, I don't think the Lions will struggle in Indy. Let me get in here if I missed some of you guys right there. I'll keep, I want to work the best ways to make the links available for you guys. So I'll constantly work on that. Thank you for being honest with me and letting me know about the links. I want to know if these links work. Obviously, I want them to work. And plus, it's good for you guys too when you use it. They can save you some money by going on there. But Jared Goff. All right, man. But this is fun. What do you think about this type of content? I'm thinking about, because I really want to be able to share the coordinators and the coaches with you guys, because that's where I get a lot of my information from, because I love to read between the lines and listen to what they have to say. They're the smart people. They're the ones that are getting paid millions of dollars to coach the team. So to me, this is what been my go-to for years. I always listen to the coaches. What do you think, coach? So this might be one of my favorite coaches right here. And David Fitt, man, this dude just sounds like somebody that you could party with, but yet he's really, really smart when it comes to with special teams right here. So here's David Fitt.
How's it going? Great. Well, there's no questions. We didn't punt.
Another hit to the emergency long snapper room. I'm just curious what the plan is there.
We were wondering if that was going to come up here. So no, probably Zylstra. Yep. Good question though. First thing I thought of too.
Shifting dynamics of guys you've needed to use on special teams. You have, I guess, elevated Houston into a bigger role here the last month, and then brought in Turner, who's got a resume but also needs acclimation. What have those two guys been able to give you here in the last few weeks?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is to play the best 11 guys out there at any time. And so then just kind of who is that? And that kind of moves and shifts throughout the year, and based off who you have available, what guys' roles are. Obviously losing Alex will shift some of that again. But in some of those shifts, like Houston's come in and played, he's playing like two teams for us. Kickoff return. Sometimes he plays punt return. Last week he did a little bit of that for us. But so he stepped in and done a nice job. But ultimately, that's kind of how this league goes. I mean, we're just looking at the board of, players that are injured or been injured throughout the year. And there's a lot of them, but that's really what this league's turned into. You got to be able to adjust and adapt, and the next guy's got to be able to come up and play. You got to develop guys on the back end of the roster while they're on your practice squad so that they're ready to go when their name gets called. So it'll be more of the same for us this week.
Your units have played really clean. As far
Good
as
morning
penalties,
to from the Muskegon posse
units
right
have
there.
like 4 times as many penalties. How do you?
Oh man, but he's talking about Turner. They got a guy from on free agency to replace Jalen Reeves-Maben, who has the same similar skill set. So he's pretty. It sounds like he's pretty pleased with Turner and the way that they're on the kick and punting teams so far. But good morning, Chuck. Good to see you.
Is it a focus? Is it?
Yeah.
How are you so effective?
Yeah, it's a good question. It is a stat that I do take a lot of pride in. I would say traditionally we've been pretty good. I think here we've been pretty good. In my career, we've been pretty good. But there's been a couple years that are not as good as I want them to be. But those are always the ones that stand out. Yeah, to answer your question, we do spend a lot of time on it. We watch every penalty. Well, I watch every penalty or every play from around the league, and then I'll pull out the penalties that I think apply to us on any given week based off the return scheme we're running or the coverage scheme we're running and positions that some of our players may find themselves in. And then we'll review those at the end of the week and just put ourselves in their shoes and try to learn from their mistake. So we spend a lot of time talking about it and coaching it and teaching it. I believe that penalties can be devastating to you, especially in the return game. And people probably don't talk about that enough, which is another thing, not to go back into statistics, but people don't tack on the penalties like on punts or punt returns, and they just talk about the net, and the net doesn't include a penalty. Or like last week, they had a false start and that backed them up 5 yards before the play. So we got 5 yards of field position there on Jacksonville's punt team. And so there's some hidden yardage in there that never gets talked about on a lot of these plays. And in the return game, it can be devastating, especially when you're playing against a punter who hammers the ball down the field. If the guy hammers the ball down the field 55 yards and you have a holding call on a gunner outside wide, it's a 10-yard penalty, but it's not only a 10-yard penalty, it also negates any return. So it's an automatic 65-yard net. It shows up in the stat sheet as 55, but it really should be 65. So when you add those penalties into the equation, they can be huge. And if there's a 10-yard return, that penalty now is not 10 yards, it's 20-yard penalty. Obviously, if a team went out there and got 20-yard penalties every play, there'd be people irate, but they don't see them that way in this phase. So it's a great question and something we spend a lot of time on. And our players they're great about it. They're conscientious. They're trying to win. And that's really what it goes back to me is like, there's some teams that play very aggressive on special teams and they go out there and they hold a lot. And because of it, they get some big plays and people see the big plays, but they don't see the other stuff that comes with those plays. And to me, the goal is to win the game. And you do that as a team by playing together collectively and monitoring those hidden yards and all that stuff.
One thing that stood out to me right there, what he just said was they sit down as a coaching unit and they watch every single play from the kickoff from that week. Like that, when you talk about it takes more, this is why the Detroit Lions are winning football games the way that they are. Because they're putting the work in. Right there. They watch every single kickoff from the entire NFL, all 32 teams, every single kickoff, and they study it and write things down and try to figure out the way that they're going to be doing things right there. That's what stood out to me in that little bar right there. But I'll get back into it.
Called Khalil Dorsey the best gunner in the game. I'm just curious, what are the characteristics of a great gunner?
Yeah, I would say he is a great gunner, and we're fortunate to have him. I think the biggest thing at that position, if you had to have one thing, you got to have speed. Because ultimately you're going to get singled up a decent amount. I mean, if it's 4th and 3 or 2 or 1, it's a close game, or you have whatever, a lead, you're definitely keeping 8 guys in the box probably. You're defending against the fake, so it's putting a guy a one-on-one situation outside wide. And if you got a punter who can hammer the ball down the field like we have with Fox, if that guy can just flat run, then he can run around a guy. It doesn't matter. You don't have to go through him, so you don't have to be strong. But if you have speed and strength and size, obviously that's better. But number one is speed. And then on top of that, if you have the speed, then you need a competitive mindset or skill set. I mean, those guys are usually ultra competitive guys. they live in the fast lane type guys. You know, they're going for it. They're always on. They're competing. They hate losing. They want to make the tackle. They want to get to the ball. Speaking of that, these guys have a great one. Arguably the best wideout on special teams in the league in number 16. These guys have a really good group. So he's a great gunner out there wide. He runs a 4.44. Their other gunner on the other side, 31, Goodson or Godson, however you say his name, is a running back, runs 4.44. These guys have linebackers. I think all of them run 4.50 or better. Speed and special teams can be big because a lot of these plays are just long area plays. You know, you're covering 40 yards, and if they can run around you. So if you can't run with them, then you're in trouble. So these guys are a really good group. They're number 41's a hair on fire player, man. This guy is relentless. He's got a great story. I read it this summer. There's a great article about him. But just a great player, and I got a lot of respect for. Like I said, their corners are fast, their safeties are fast. These guys are good, so we got our hands full.
One of the hallmarks, I guess, of you and Campbell's special teams philosophies is putting stress on the opponents. I think last year you had touchback rate closer to 2/3. This year it's closer to 80%. This new return was meant to bring more returns to the game. At what point do we maybe consider that this isn't working the way it was intended and needs to be revamped again?
Yeah, I think we're on the right track. Bottom line is that some of it comes down to risk reward right now. And if the reward's a couple yards or 2 yards or 3 yards, you got a good football team. But the risk is taking a shot and some kind of explosive play against you. Then it's like, is it worth it for us? In this situation right now, you got a big lead. Is it worth giving them another chance to try to make a play? So there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, we're going to go outdoors a couple weeks from now. We're going to be in Chicago. We go to San Francisco in the playoffs. We could be outdoors. So you got to obviously be ready to cover these things. And we spent a lot of time on it and made a lot of adjustments during the year. We had 2 in the last game there. So we'll just kind of keep balancing that risk and reward out and trying to make good decisions. But I think overall, I do think that there's a lot of positives about the play. It's been safe. I think it's been a lot safer. I don't have the data, but from what I understand, it's been a lot safer. They are getting some more returns. I think that they'll make some modifications based off saying they're getting a lot of information and data so that they can make really some good decisions at the end of this year, which they really couldn't do last year. I mean, they didn't know how it was going to look. So there's kind of at least a baseline. They've set that on the play and given them a chance to move forward with it. I think there's a lot of positives. It's not perfect, but I think it's a really good start.
You're obviously very focused right now on the season, and you can't worry about world champs. But what does that process look for you? Is that after the season, and do you make your opinions known to the competition committee or whoever's making these decisions?
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I don't have all the answers yet either. We're still gathering information and data. I think there's still stuff out there. I think as the weather changes and the ball doesn't travel as far down on kickoffs and you see shorter kicks, what does that do to it? As the field gets a little bit like our game in Green Bay, the field's not quite as much traction. You're not able to play as loose and as fast and on the edge of your cleats. And so that slows guys down, and the return game looks a little different in those situations. So I think there's a lot of variables still out there that we'll see. But at the end of the year, if they ask me, I'll definitely share my opinions and thoughts on the play.
Is there, imagine you had those conversations now, but I wanted to ask about Zeke Turner. I think he was your personal protector 2 weeks ago. Who knows, last week since you didn't punt. But what went into that decision? What do you like about him?
Yeah, number one, I would say, obviously, it's a great job by Brad and Holmes and those guys in the personnel department of finding him and getting him. He's a player that I've respected for a long time. When I was in Philly, he was in Arizona. We played against each other a handful of games. I always thought he was a very good player. But even better than that for us was actually just the fit. I mean, he really has a very similar game to Jalen Reeves-Maben, and they both played personal protector. They actually both played in the same punt system. Us in Arizona kind of use the same terminology system, very similar in that regard. they are also very aggressive with the fakes and all that stuff. So he has experience doing all that for them. And just the way he covers, the way he plays the game is very similar to Jalen Reeves-Maybin. So it was like just a natural slide in and fit. So it was an easy decision for us. He's super smart and intelligent. I got a lot of confidence and faith and trust in him already in a very short period of time. The special teams coach from Arizona sent me a text message and just said, I don't know if I trust another guy more than I trust him. So, and that's a guy I respect quite a bit. So anyway, yeah, we feel good about him. Him or Jerem, we'll find out.
I ask you, well aware that you take these things seriously, but have you ever been around a better holder than Jack Fox? And what about that is he so good at in particular?
Yeah, so I mean, my favorite part about the story for him and Holding is it's great to hear you say that, and I do think the guy's incredible. But when I first got here, he was not, and I wasn't shy about saying that either. And he's done just an outstanding job of working at it. I will also say one more time that the snapper is key in the whole thing. And when the guy rips the ball back there, like our guy does, and it's a tight spiral, very, very catchable ball with a lot of velocity and gets in your hand quick and just sticks. I think it's like a good quarterback. Some of these guys, the way they throw the ball, man, it just tends to stick in these guys' hands. So the way he throws the ball there, Hogan, back there to Fox really helps, obviously. So it gets back there quick. But then he's sure-handed. He gets the ball down on the ground quick. He does the same thing every time. His hands aren't erratic. They're nice and fluid and smooth. He gets the laces right when they're not right. And then there's a lot going into the tilt and the lean of the ball too. So tilted forward or backwards and then leaning, towards him or away from him. And so he really does a great job of getting all that stuff right and down and set. And that really helps the kicker tremendously.
A lot of work that is going on with Jake. Maybe we haven't seen some of it yet, but on the different type of kickoffs that you may ask for, line drives into the landing zone, dropping it 1 yard deep, dropping it 9 yards deep, just the different things that may ultimately come up down the line.
Yeah, so it's a great question because really, so our kind of philosophy going into the season was, there's this kickoff play and you would love to be able to do a lot of different kicks. However, we got this young kicker who's new to this whole thing and he's trying to develop and improve. And it's for us, like, where do we want to put his focus and emphasis? I know this, in order to stay in this league, if you're a kicker, you better kick your field goals well. He has a huge leg. So I would say early in the year, our focus was, okay, let's just focus on kicking our field goals and making kicks and improving in that part of the game and not try to do everything all at once. Let's get to first base first, then we'll worry about getting to second. So our approach with him has really been, let's focus on the field goals and the kicking, and we'll just use your talent. And you got a big leg, we'll just use your talent and let you do that. And we won't worry about trying to be the best that we can be at everything right now. And then as we've gone through the year, it's like, okay, in the background now, let's work on some of these kicks. Let's work to the right. Let's work to the left. Let's see if we can hit one on the ground. And so that stuff's all kind of going on behind the scenes, really, and developing them slowly throughout the year and adding more on his plate as he's improved and the first part of his job's become easier for him.
Is that line drive kick into the landing zone, making sure you don't hit before the 20, but you hit between the 20 and the goal line? Is that a tough kick?
Yeah, so, I think if you looked at the data, and not that I'm a data guy, we went over that last week. But if you do look at some of the data, or you look at the right way, no, I'm just kidding. If you look at the information that's out there, I think that when the ball's on the ground, it ends up being the best result for the cover team. So if you can get it on the ground, the problem is getting it on the ground consistently is much harder than it looks, and not hitting it short of the landing zone is much harder than it looks for these guys. And doing it under pressure over and over in the elements, weather, and everything else that could be out there is not easy. But I think over time, you're going to see all these guys start to develop more and more of that the more they practice it.
So, I know that special teams coordinator probably isn't the most exciting thing in the world, but I love the way that he talked about Jack Fox and Dave Phipp just seems like somebody that, I don't know, I'd love to watch a football game with him. hang out with him. You know, he just seems like a man. Hey, man, like what's going on, man? Let's work on some special team stuff, man. And he sounds like, you know, I might, you know, smoke some ganja with him, you know, and it would be okay. And I don't think that it would affect his play at all because he just seems like a cool dude. And you know, it seems like one of the things I took from there is like Jack Fox came in and, you know, and Jake Bates, they come in, they're not trying to throw too much on their plate. You know, let these guys do what they do best and then spoon feed them, you know, all of the new stuff. Let's go Lions. Yes, what's going on? Henry Gray saying that he loves this team. Mr. Perfect should be awesome on Sunday. And then FIP covers all of the bases. We're blessed to have such an outstanding organization from the Central Scrutinizer. And I think that we have one of the best long snappers in the league. We're talking about long snappers for real. Yeah, but I think that they end up putting all the coordinator stuff in here like this, in this order, because, you know, for the main event, now it's time for the main event. The main event of the evening. Ready? What? All right. Here we go. Now it's time for the architect, Ben Johnson. Let's go.
Listen, that was a fun one last week. Guys came out and played their tails off. They really responded to that Houston game where we didn't put our best out there. So was proud of them. A number of guys had winning performances. I thought the O-line played some of the best football, not just this year, but over the last few years. That was really fun to see. And then a lot of our skill guys got involved as well. So turning the page already here. Good opponent this week that has a lot of similarities to that Houston defense that we struggled with a couple weeks ago. So Coach Bradley coaches them hard, and they play really, really hard. They've got playmakers up front, second level, and in the secondary as well. So we'll have our work cut out for us.
You've built trust with Jameson over the last 2 seasons. Can you contextualize like how much he opens up the offense in the playbook for you?
Yeah, I think a great example was his touchdown there last week. I've got this bad habit right now of calling that particular pass concept into cover 2, and it's usually a dead play when I do that, and he makes it work. So, no, I mean, there's a number of things, and it's certainly him, but there's a number of other players. Gibby's another one where they're erasers, they're fixers. You know, if things aren't quite right, they make it right. And he has certainly given us that element in the passing game. And I think defenses take notice of that.
Just the extraordinary speed of those two guys that makes things right.
I think that's a large part of it. I think they got great instincts of how to make people miss in the open field. And I think you find defenders take poor angles when trying to bring them down in space as well. So I think that's a great element that they bring to the table, no doubt.
Who's faster, J-Mo or Gibbs?
Ooh, depends on who you ask. I know where I put my money, but I'm not going to say that publicly. Gibbs does? Yeah, I saw the one from the game. Was that Monday night that the Turpin took it? Was that the fastest of the year? It's up there. Yeah, it's pretty good.
So this is similar to Texas schematically. Is that what you're talking about, their defense? Or what?
Yeah. Listen, 4 down front. That's an attacking, penetrating style. Not a huge pressure operation per se, or at least that's not what they've been over the last couple of years. They mix in some pressures, of course, on base downs and third downs, but they generate pressure. They stop the run with their front 4, and then they've got linebackers that fly sideline to sideline. So if you're not taking the right angle, either off your double team or as you're going through to the second level, then they'll knife through and make a tackle for loss. The 2 defensive tackles are probably the best pair we've seen so far this year. 44. I think he's their green dot. You can tell he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. And then I have a lot of respect for their nickel, 23. When he comes inside, he's feisty. We got to account for him in the run game, and he's a heck of a coverage player as well. I remember him distinctly from when we had him in training camp a couple years ago. So they've got some playmakers throughout, and a little bit simpler schematically, but they play hard in a high-intensity group.
Doing some pre-snap shells that look different than I think we usually see in the NFL with the 3 deep. They're maybe more college concepts. Are you seeing some unique stuff across the NFL this year? Maybe stuff imported from the college game, and is it in any way specific to what you're seeing as the Lions?
Yeah, I don't. I probably haven't given that a ton of thought, whether it's being imported from college. Yeah, I'm sure there certainly are influences as coaches come up, as players come up from that level that show up. I felt that a few years ago when Phil Snow came from Baylor to Carolina. That was certainly the most I've truly felt that. But yeah, each team has a flavor. There's just, I feel like, more volume of defense right now. Teams are doing more than what they used to in the past, and they're doing it all at a high level.
Obviously, we can see the big touchdowns or different plays. How much do you think you've improved from game 1 to now in like the tiny things, like the missed assignments or the individual decision making or all those things we don't know?
Yeah, no, I think certainly the passing game usually takes the longest to gel from the start of the season until this point. And I think you see a lot of trust between Jared and his pass catchers, and that's just, you've got 6 weeks called in training camp, 4 to 6 weeks to get that down. And now we've got another 8 to 10 to add on to it. And so he's got a lot of confidence in where those guys are going to be. There's routes that we haven't necessarily practiced in a couple weeks that we feel good dusting off just because we have a lot of time on task. So I think it's the trust, the timing, the anticipation that Jared has with his pass catchers. Something we've always talked about up front is our wide zone scheme normally takes a few weeks. It takes to about mid-season before it starts clicking. I haven't felt that this year, and I think that's because we have 2 backs that experienced it all a year ago, and then we have an experienced group up front as well. So it felt like we picked up where we left off at the end of last year in terms of our running game. It's been our passing game that's really made some strides in terms of the details.
Pulling your starters from games recently, 3 times in the last 6 games or whatever it was, Hendon hasn't gotten a ton of chances to throw the ball. I guess just how much value do you find in those little experiences for him when it's just like a quarter?
Yeah, I think it's invaluable for him. Going out there, you got the lights shining on you, you got people looking at you. It's not practice setting. He had a ton of reps there during training camp and the preseason games that you saw growth from game 1 to game 3. And now we're at a spot where he's been able to get a few in games this year. And the challenge for me is I do want to get him some passes, but also don't want to be disrespectful to the opponent as well. So it's kind of a balancing act when it comes to that.
What makes a good NFL center in your eyes, and how does Frank sort of embody whatever those characteristics you got?
Oh, shoot. I think it starts with being an elite communicator. And he's just that. He's able to identify fronts. I think Tanner used the word PhD level is where he's at this point. We had a good chuckle upstairs over that one, but he's not wrong. He's 100% right. Frank in particular, he can come up and he sees the big picture. He anticipates where the pressure's coming from, and 99% of the time, make sure that we're accounted for. So I think when you're talking about the best centers in the league, I think they can identify and make sure the whole blocking unit is on the same page, whether it's in the run game or in pass pro. And then what he brings to the table that's unique is he can run in space, all right, which we ask him to do a little bit, but he is so strong at the point of attack that some of these big nose guards that we face, they don't move him off the spot at all or push him into the backfield. So when they try to push the pocket, he does a great job maintaining the integrity, but at the same time in the run game, when we're trying to get our gap schemes going, he can put a knife in the defense and we can hit it front side.
Just because we haven't seen him practice, just based on the time of the year, Christian Mahogany, it's been full go here for few weeks now. Just curious what you've seen from his development, from the guy you scouted.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing that coach does for practice to help develop some of these guys is he still maintains one-on-ones over the course of the week. Good versus good, young guys versus young guys, whatever that is. And so you've really been able to see, since he's come off of IR, you've seen Christian grow immensely. And I really wish, we as a staff really wish he would have been available there in the preseason, because those would have been huge games to really get a gauge for where he's at right now. And it's a little bit harder in practice. Sometimes we have pads on, sometimes we don't. But from the one-on-one aspect of pass pro and run blocking, you see flashes of immense potential right there. So we'll continue to try to find where we can slip him in to get him more experience. But he's a guy that we have high hopes for.
Did guys fill you in on some of the touchdown celebrations in their head, or are you kind of watching that live?
I watch that. I hear about it from my kids when I get home. Yeah. They really like the one. Did you see Saint on his head a couple of weeks ago? That was the one I heard a lot about. So, no, I try to share them a celebration. They haven't done it yet. They don't. Yeah, well, that's hopefully coming down the pipe at some point. I'm on St. Brown about that. He's the guru.
Yeah, I played the official drill for you a couple of years back. Still in the can. Have you used it yet?
Not yet, but we've got it. We have not repped it, but it's in there. It's churning. We've got. Thank you.
All right.
1, 2.
There it is. There it is. Those are all of the coordinators, and I love Ben Johnson. I think Ben Johnson is so smart, and it just oozes out of him. And I love the way that he spoke about Frank Ragnow, and it's like how important he is to the defense or the offensive line, and being able to protect Jared Goff, and getting Jared Goff out there, turning him into Vanilla Vic out there, and making him all comfortable. Because when Goff is comfortable and Goff is cool, then Goff is unstoppable right there. Because when the whole thing is working, when the trifecta is working, like, you either need a running quarterback or you need some guys that can run right there. And you can feed these hungry lions. And as long as these hungry lions are getting fed, then Vanilla Vic can show up. But what did you think of the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator? What was your biggest takeaways from those conferences right there, those press conferences? I love Adams. Detroit fan man. What a moment for the records, admitting to restrict Hooker's opportunities in fear of disrespecting opponents, while only a kindness is outstandingly hilarious. And while I love this, let him throw. I feel you on that. And I love the fact there's two things that I got from the press conferences, and I didn't get to show the Dan Campbell one. Maybe I'll get to that one tomorrow. We're not going to have enough time to get it to it today. But he had said that there's zero chance that he is going to take the starters out before the fourth quarter. So if we're out there and we're smoking you and we got 50 points in the third quarter, you better, we're keeping our guys out there. We're keeping our guys out there. And the thing is they don't want us to unleash Hendon Hooker on the league right now. If we keep blowing out opponents and he's just sitting in there, but he's only coming in garbage time. But I have a feeling we got another baller right there, Detroit fan man. Really? You think that? Okay, that's better. But the Lions are so deep and so good, and that's what I take away from these different spots. There's like a top level athlete at every single spot that we have. You know, when you're talking offensive line, I mean, that thing's elite all the way across. When you're talking about tight ends, you have a tight end on our team that is probably arguably a top 10 tight end, Sam Laporta. You got running backs. Well, we got 2 top 5 running backs. And you can even count on Craig Reynolds. You know, this team is so fun because of general manager Brad Holmes bringing in all of these ballers. All of these guys are guys that he drafted, guys that are going to be here. We ain't worried about the future of the Detroit Lions for like the first time ever, because all these guys are going to be here. What I'd like to have right now is for all of you fat, out of shape Indianapolis sweat hogs, keep the noise down, because the villain is making his way to Indianapolis. And he's going to take his robe off and show all the ladies what a real sexy man looks like. Hit the music. Because we're having some fun as Detroit Lion fans. Hit the music. Let me tell you something, brothers. With me and all my Hulkamaniacs, we're going to get into a van, dude, and we're going to drive to Indianapolis. And the Detroit Lions are going to run wild on the Indianapolis Colts, brother. What you gonna do when Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic, Knuckles destroy you? Ooh, yeah, the Lions Villain Report, brother, yeah. The Macho Man Randy Savage is going to Indianapolis. He's gonna climb to the top of the Indianapolis Dome, and he's going to drop the Macho Man elbow into the heart of the Colts. Yeah, the cream rises to the top. Yeah, the Detroit Lions are the cream, brother. Yeah. It's one of my favorite shows in the morning. It's 10 a.m. It's the Lions Villain Report with Russell Wayne. He's my friend. And he's talking to my guy all wrong. If you do it again, I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron. But you can watch the Lions Villain Report 10 a.m. You should watch it. It could be good for you. It could be good for you. It could be good for your life. They grabbed me by my face mask. It's me, Donald Schwarzenegger. Detroit Lions, I am coming for you. I'm gonna put the entire city of Minneapolis on my back. I'm going to throw lots of touchdown passes. Come on. I'm gonna throw one to TJ Hawkinson. Come on. I'm gonna throw one to Justin Jefferson. Come on. Do it. Keep doing it. Keep pace with the Detroit Lions. Listen here, Darnold. You can win some games, you can keep pace, but here's the thing. You got to come to our house this time, Darnold. There is no coming back. You can't take a time machine and fix it. Dan Campbell owns you. They own the Vikings. As evident by all of the Viking fans that choose to ghost the villain, along with the Bear fans that choose to ghost the villain. And the top reasons are butt-hurtedness. Butt-hurtedness is the number one reason to ghost the villain. The sad faces, the agony of defeat. Indianapolis Sweat Hogs. That's right. Mark says if Laporta plays this weekend, I think he will be targeted a little bit more. He's quietly had a decent season. Brad Holmes is the genius about the contracts and the draft plus free agency. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Brock Wright could start on most teams. I like that. Frank the Tank, let's go. The deep water. The deep water is here. David Montgomery is part of that deep water. And rolling in the deep water. What you gonna do about it? That's right. Send them to the deep water. Thank you, John. I'm not going to get arrested, I promise you. I won't get arrested. I may go live a couple times. I'm hoping to see you guys on there. Make sure you jump on when I'm going live this weekend. Thank you on the Christopher Walken. I'm thinking about making the end of my shows like that. I like doing my impressions. I got a couple new ones that I've been working on. I don't know. It might be a little bit risky. It might be risky for me to pull out the ladies' man, but I wanted to talk about how we could get some type of dating advice for Green Bay Packer fans, but I don't even think the ladies' man could help you with that because that's disgusting. Well, the ladies' man wants to talk a little bit about oil changes. And these offensive linemen, I mean, I'm trying to understand the football game. And when you're sticking thumbs up another man's butthole, that's disgusting, okay? I think that you need to go get that thumb tested out for STD. Make sure that it's not positive for COVID, okay? We don't want any COVID. And then I could do like mix arounds. Yeah. Yeah. And COVID. And another name for COVID. is the crabs. Okay, I don't want to get too much into that. You've been watching the Lions Villain Report. I am Russell Wayne. And if And if you like what you're seeing, yeah, you should hit that like button. And it would be nice if you do that. And then that would mean that you like it. If you like football content, then you'll like the Villain Report. He does it all the time. 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 a.m. You can see him talk about stuff like Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator of the team. Make sure that you stick around on Monday night for the review of the Colts game. Next week's episodes are going to be brought to you by Dana Robinson from the Full Circle Real Estate Group. Thank you for supporting our channel. Go buy a house from her. Right there's her phone number. But she's supporting our show. The Main Event Football Show, Monday nights at 7 p.m. We're going to be talking about that game. And then there's the Overreaction Monday. Will it still be the best division in football? That's what we're going to talk about on Monday. Tomorrow we got the key matchups. I want to talk about, I think that we can all agree that we believe that the Lions are going to win the game. But if the bottom were to fall out and something were to happen, or they were to have extremely good play out of certain groups, what would be the path to victory? That's what we're going to answer tomorrow. If Indianapolis were to pull the upset, what would be that path? What would they have to do to beat this juggernaut of a team of the Detroit Lions? We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But thank you, everybody that is out there. We are broadcasting live right now. I'm getting ready to sign off here. So we're broadcasting live. Make sure that you go over to that Facebook page. We're trying to get to 60,000, and you've helped us. You helped us go from 50 to 60,000 relatively quickly. So go over and hit that follow button if you haven't already. Why have billions when you can have thousands? Because we are the UDFA, the undrafted free agent, the Tom Kennedy of sports podcasting. And you're helping us just by liking, just by sharing and commenting. That helps the page. We appreciate you. We appreciate the people that go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We appreciate the people that go to our sponsor link that is in the comments right now, saving 30% off of their order from our affiliate marketing partners at NFL Shop. It's faith, family, and then football. We use football to create memories and spend time with our family. We don't let football use us. And I'm going to take off. Thank you, everybody, for watching today. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord shine his face upon you again. In Jesus' name. Until we meet again tomorrow for the Lions Villain Report. God bless. I'll see you soon.
Hey, yo, the lies told that you never make it. Hopeless, so it seems. Eyes closed, hands open wide to embrace your dreams. Sometimes you gotta take a loss just to get the win. Like lots of sin was popping in like oxygen when boxes win. Focus on the mental, never lose like a smooth instrumental. Better choose on the move in a pinto. Choose what I get to, never lose, move on the move, but it's simple. Never give up and we running it, maybe. We just keep winning, we conquering daily. Envision that pay me, it's never this way. We indigenous, maybe we winning this crazy. Your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, this your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity, this your opportunity, opportunity, your opportunity, your opportunity.